Zeno of Citium. Zeno of Citium, a Hellenethitic philosopher from Citium, Cyprus. Zeno is known for being the founder of the Stoic school of philosophy, which he taught in Athens from 300 BC. His school was based on the moral ideologies of the Cynics. The Cynics thought that the purpose of life was to live in virtue and in agreement with nature. He was considered a quiet man, who had no desire for dramatic lectures or elaborate festivities, and he would be the man to lay the foundations for later Stoics. Stoicism laid a great emphasis on goodness and peace of mind gained from living a life of virtue. It became very popular and flourished as one of the major schools of philosophy throughout the Hellenistic period all the way through to the Roman era. Most of the information we know about Zeno comes from the biography and anecdotes preserved by Diogenes Laertius, a Greek philosopher, in his book Lives and Opinions of Eminent Philosophers. Zeno himself was born around 334 BC, 10 years after the death of Aristotle, in the Greek colony of Kition, or Citium. He was the son of a merchant. His father travelled to Athens, and naturally the work of his father influenced Zeno to also become a wealthy merchant. When he was around 30 years old, he became the student of Crates of Thebes, one of the most famous Cynic philosophers living at the time in Athens. It's rumoured that Zeno was shipwrecked off the coast of Greece, and later walked into a bookshop in Athens and was immediately attracted to the works of Socrates. Upon Zeno asking how to find the man, the bookseller pointed to Crates of Thebes, and from that point Zeno became his student almost by default. Zeno was often described to be a haggard and sunburned. He led a spare, ascetic life despite his wealth. As soon as Zeno became Crates' pupil, he showed a strong bent for philosophy. Apart from Crates, Zeno studied under the philosophers of the Megarian school. From his teachers he learned different aspects and nuances when becoming a philosopher. In his Megarian school, he learned that the greatest fault in life lay in saying yes too quickly to any request, and one should avoid doing so in order to live a tranquil life. Under the teachings of Crates, Zeno wrote his Republic based on Plato's version. Zeno's Republic was a utopia whose citizens claim the universe as their home, and where everyone lives in accordance with natural laws and rational understanding. Men and women were completely equal in society's eyes, and there was no injustice because all actions were rooted from reason. Love governed all things, and everyone living in this utopia understood what they needed and wanted for nothing more. After many years of study, in 301 BC, Zeno began teaching and set up his own school in the Agora of Athens, known as the Stoa Poikile. His disciples were initially called Zenonians, but eventually they came to be known as Stoics. Zeno died around 262 BC in Athens. During his lifetime, Zeno received appreciation for his philosophical and pedagogical teachings. After his death, the Athenians honoured Zeno and his work with a bronze statue, extolling a man we can look upon today. He was praised highly by the Athenians for his temperance, his consistency in living what he taught, and his good effect on the youth of the city. So what was Zeno's philosophy, and what did he teach to his students? Zeno's teachings offered a middle way between Cynics' complete rejection of society and the Stoics' obsession with duty. His formulation is nothing more than that. What happens, happens. There's no point complaining with fate. Zeno divided philosophy into three parts. Logic, the wide subject that include rhetoric, grammar, and the theories of thought. He was influenced by Antisthenes and Diodorus Cronus. Physics, not just science, but the divine nature of the universe, influenced by Heraclitus. And ethics. He preached that man conquers the world by conquering himself, teaching his students on the value of apatheia. Stoicism refers to a state of mind in which one is not disturbed by the passions. It is best translated by the word equanimity rather than indifference. Happiness lies in conquering passions and emotions, and conforming to divine will, the power of fate. He argued that by controlling one's emotions and passions, one could develop wisdom, and with that, the ability to apply it. By living according to reason, it gives Stoics the power to set an example and influence others. Zeno coined the phrase kathekon, which can be translated as benefiting actions, or appropriate actions for nature. According to Zeno's philosophy, each being carries fitting actions depending on its own nature. As beings, he taught we must live in harmony with nature. Zeno himself stated that the goal of life is living in agreement with nature. The philosophy laid out by Zeno would then later be developed by Epictetus and other Stoics, and have a massive impact upon the people of Rome, most notably the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who made impressive developments to Stoic philosophy. Zeno, the pioneer of Stoicism. Stoicism would eventually grow to become one of the most popular and influential philosophies in not only the ancient eras, but also in contemporary landscape. All things are part of one single system, which is called nature. The individual life is good when it is in harmony with nature.